Okay, please make sure you've opened up today's class assignment, and we're going to be writing these 6 examples in your notebook. So actually pause the video at this time and write number 1 exactly as it is in your math notebook, titling it Trigonometry Review and today's date. And I just realized this still says financial algebra because I just did this assignment with them, but you guys are math too. So anyways, you know what I mean. Title it Trigonometry Review and write down example 1, or better yet, write down all 6 examples before we get started. So pause the video, do that. Okay, here we go. So you are going to need a Desmos tab or the yellow calculator on the table to do these. So make sure you have a calculator ready or open up your Desmos tab now if you need to. So I think it's always handy to have SOHCAHTOA written across the top for easy reference so we can remember which trig function should I be using, okay? So looking at number 1, our reference angle is this angle down here with a 43 in it. Standing at the 43, which sides have a variable or a number on them? So to identify which trig function, if I'm standing at the 43, I see that this is an opposite side, the O, and I have my longest side, the hypotenuse. So which trig function uses the O and the H? You got it. This is going to be a sine function, the SO of the SOHCAHTOA. So to set up our trig function, we write the sine of the angle, 43 degrees, given right there in the image, is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. That's my ratio that I want. So my opposite is the variable, the number I'm going for, and the hypotenuse is 12 feet. All right, in order to solve for this variable, I'm going to be multiplying by the denominator of 12 to both sides. And this is what I'm actually going to plug into my Desmos, is 12 times the sine of 43. And when I get x, it's going to be my approximate answer. So I'm going to use the bumps, and it's going to be in feet because that's the units that they gave to us. We're going to round to 2 decimal places unless told otherwise. So we're going to round to 2 decimal places. Okay, here I go. Type in 12 times. Now, where are the sine, cosine, and tangent functions on Desmos? You have to click on this function tab, and here it is right here. And then I go back to the main to get to the numbers again. So 12 times the sine of 43, you got it, 8.18 feet. All right, pause the video here. Try to guess which trig function is for number 2 and see how far you can get in solving, and then play the video. All right, here we go. This one time I'm standing at reference angle 17, and I've been given an opposite side again because it's across from the 17. And this time I'm given the side that's touching the 17, but it's not our longest side. That's our adjacent. Which trig function uses the O and the A? The TOA. I think the easiest way to recognize a TOA is if there's nothing on the hypotenuse, there's nothing on the longest side, you know it's going to be a TOA. So let's set up that trig function. Tangent of the angle, 17 degrees, is equal to opposite over adjacent. In order to solve this one, we're going to multiply by a denominator of 29. And this is what I'm actually going to be plugging into the calculator. 29 times the tangent of 17. Here we go. .87. Do you see the rounding there? And we're going to use the approximation symbol or the bumps and say 8.87 inches. Why is this one inches? Because it was given as inches up here. Okay, how'd you do? There's the doggies. Okay, number 3, pause the video here and try number 3, seeing if you can figure out which trig function it's going to be based on what's given. Okay, let's see how you did. This time the reference angle is angle number 50, And I've been given a hypotenuse this time. Do you see that longest side? It does have an X on it. But which side is the 9? Well, the 9 is touching the 50. It's the closest side to the 50. It is your A. Which trig function uses the A and the H? You got it. It's the cosine function. So hopefully you guessed that this time. Cosine of 50 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Now this one's a little bit weird because the x, the variable's in the denominator. So this is the first time on this worksheet review that we're seeing, but we did see one in notes previously, and we saw one on, I can't remember if we saw one on the digital or not. Anyways, when we multiply by the denominator of x, it's not our final step. When I multiply by x to move it up, those x's cross out, leaving me 9 on the right. But in order to solve for x, I have one additional step, divide by the cosine of 50. So what I'm plugging into my calculator this time is 9 divided by the cosine of 50. And we get 14.00. Because it's still rounded, I am cutting off some numbers there. We still need to use the approximation symbol, even though it looks like it's just 14 flat. But we're rounding to 14.00 on this one. And my units are kilometers. Okay, how are you doing on guessing these trig functions? Are you getting any better? Okay, pause the video and try number 4. Let's see how you do. Okay, this time the reference angle is 70. I've been given an adjacent, the closest side, and I've been given a hypotenuse, which one uses A and an H. You got it, it's our cosine function. Cosine of 70 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Since the number's in the denominator, we just multiply both sides by that number. And what you're actually going to plug into the calculator is 13 times the cosine of 70. Try it on your calculator, see if you can get it first. .45 millimeters. Notice my approximation symbol because we're rounding. Notice how I rounded it, 4.45 and millimeters. Pause the video, try number 5. This time number 5 gave you an opposite and a hypotenuse. Which trig function uses O and H? You got it, it's the sine function. Sine of 10 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Uh-oh, that H is on the bottom again. It means we're going to multiply to bring up the X, sorry, not the H. But there's one additional step. You have to divide by the sine. What you're actually going to plug into your calculator right now is 6 divided by the sine of 10 degrees. And we get 34.55. And this is inches. How do I know it's inches? It's this little tiny symbol that's up here that stands for inches. Okay, last one. Pause it. Try it. Okay, which one doesn't use any H? See how there's no hypotenuse given? You got it. It's the TOA. Because this is opposite of the 34 and this is adjacent to the 34. So I say tangent of 34 is equal to opposite over adjacent. And it's another x1 on the bottom. Multiply by the x. Divide by the tan. What you're actually plugging into your calculator right now is 85 divided by the tan of 34. 126.02. And this is centimeters. All right, how'd you do? Now you should have some seriously good examples written in your math notebook at this time from these 6 examples, okay? Good job.